Alright, welcome back to Kevin's Show Work. We're going to be working on CB2w questions 12 through 22. Alright, if you look at number 12, it is a transition question, right? Anytime you do a transition, you're going to be looking at the sentence before and the sentence after. And you're going to see what kind of relationship they have. Is it a contrasting, something different? Is it something similar? Or is it a cause and effect relationship? Here it says this person was expected to be impressed by large fame as being expected to be impressed, right? And here it actually tells you which painter and which painting it wants to see. It's telling you something very specific. Anytime you see more specific detail, it's actually giving you an example, right? So here, B is the right answer because it's a specific example. 13, anytime you have a name, you put commas or don't put commas depending on where the name is, okay? So if the name comes after, right? Then no commas. If name comes before, then commas. Does that rule make sense? This is just a very common rule. So if you have George Seurat and then painter, there would be commas. But if the name comes after, like in this instance, then we would take out the commas. So here, D is the correct answer. C is wrong because of that weird comma here, so is B. 14, it's talking about its tiniest. First, we gotta figure out who's tiniest, right? And it's the museum's tiniest. Okay, this is a singular possessive, right? IT comma S, that's it is. Okay, that's not what we're looking for, right? So we can get rid of D. It's a toss-up between, and we can also get rid of A as well, right? It's a toss-up between B and C. So what does a semicolon and a regular colon do, right? Colon, okay, whatever is behind the colon, it has to clarify the sentence before, right? So it has to clarify. Semicolon is used to combine two subjects and verbs. Okay, here, the Thorn Miniature Rooms is clarifying what it means to be the tiniest, right, in the museum. So here the correct answer is C. Okay, number 15. At this point, the writer is considering adding, right, the following sentence. If we read the sentence, it talks about how some scholars argue that the excesses of King Louis XV's reign contributed significantly to the conditions that resulted in the French Revolution, right? So excesses of his reign, French Revolution. When we're adding, we do the same thing. We're going to look at the sentence before, okay, and the sentence after, right? Primarily, oh, sorry, it doesn't go all the way up to here. It just goes right up to here. And primarily, we're just going to look at the last part of the sentence. But here it says, I marvel at the replica of a salon, a formal living room, dating to, right, French King Louis XV. The next sentence talks about built into the dark paneled walls are bookshelves, stocked with leather-bound volumes. So a lot of this is talking about furniture, right? As you can tell by these two, right? It's furniture. This is talking. So we can take out A and B. It has to talk about something about the furniture, the replica of the salon, right? And here you see the miniature, and what is it doing? It's interrupting the paragraph's description of this salon. So we can confidently choose C. D is wrong because we don't have any idea who the interior designer is and what the political motivations are. There's no mention of either of these. 16. For this one, okay, you have to somehow combine. So let's look for the subject and verb anytime you see that. Couch and chairs, in keeping with the style of the time, are characterized by elegantly curved arms and legs. They are covered in luxurious velvet. So we have a set of subject and verb and another subject and verb combined by a comma, which is a no-no, right? So we can get rid of A. If you need a comma, then you also need a conjunction like and or but, right? One of the fanboys, but it's not here. So get rid of A. One thing we do notice is that there's two verbs here, right? Are characterized and are covered. So as long as the subject of both are the same, we can actually combine these two verbs in one sentence. And here, they is talking about the couch and chairs. They're the ones that are covered in luxurious velvet, right? And because of that, we can choose C, right? The couch and chairs are characterized by and are covered, right? Just like how you can say, I cooked and cleaned, right? You can have two verbs, right? You can have this is perfectly possible. So 16 is going to be C. Number 17, which choice gives a second supporting example that is most similar to the example already in the sentence? So here, if you look here, it says, for example, what's the example? A couch, right? Couch is the first example already given. So couch, for example, is 7 inches long. Okay? Which one of these answer choices gives another example, a second example, right? None of these are giving any other examples in choice A, right? A teacup, that is another example, right? And what is it saying? It's about 1/4 of an inch. It's, again, similar description of size, right? Size. So here, B is actually the correct answer. Number 18, which choice most effectively combines the sentence at the underlined portion? Okay, again, furnished, period, they, or their. Let's look at what the relationship is. And here it says the planner rooms are more sparsely furnished, which means it's not furnished that much, right? Their architectural features, furnishings, and decorations are just as true to the periods they represent. So if it's not furnished or decorated with, furniture that much, we expect that maybe the museum was being cheap or they just didn't have the stuff. But here it's actually saying it's just as true. This is a contrasting relationship to what we would expect from a sparsely furnished room, right? So we're looking for a contrast. So we can get rid of this one and this one, right? We got but and whereas. But when you use whereas, you're comparing, okay, plainer rooms to another room. Does that make sense? So whereas is comparing two things that are similar. But is just a straight up contrast, so you can choose B here. 19, which choice most closely matches the stylistic pattern established earlier in the sentence? All right, so what's the stylistic pattern? If we look, every one of these examples ends with along one wall, right? The next one it's against another wall. So the third one has to be something with a wall, right? Has to do with a wall. The only one that has anything to do with the wall is choice A, under a window of the third wall, right? So here A is the correct answer. B here is a trick, because it seems like it's under the third wall, but it's actually talking about the window. We must end with wall, right? Let's go on to the last few questions. Number 20. As I walked through the exhibit, I overheard a visitor's remark. First thing that you should notice is this word a, right? Visitors, this here is plural, right? A is singular. So we can get rid of that choice. And anything that's also plural, right? So let's get rid of A and B. Here, the answer is D. Okay? Because this is something that they overheard. What do they overhear? A visitor remark. They're talking about the past, but now they're talking about it as if it is happening. Number 21. Just to clarify for number 20 why it's not past tense, just to clarify, just in case you thought overheard or walked, that's why it should be. So here's another example, is if you say something like, I saw a man, and what did this man do? Walk down the road, right? We wouldn't say I saw a man walked down the road, right? You don't need to conjugate this to be in the past tense, right? It's the same thing here, okay? Hopefully that example clarified it slightly more. Number 21. Okay, if we look at this, first thing I notice is dotted with pin-sized knobs. This is called a dangling modifier. Okay, and it's modifying here, visitor, right? Can a visitor, though, be dotted with pin-sized knobs? And that is actually not possible, right? Why would a visitor be dotted with pin-sized knobs? So this modifier is actually in the wrong place. It's actually modifying this tiny writing desk and its drawers. So the rule about modifiers, right, need to be next to what it's modifying. Here again, answer choice B, it's next to another visitor, so we can cross that out. Again, it's doing the same thing, but this time without commas, cross it out. The only choice that's left is D, and D is actually the correct answer. Why? Because again, here's the modifier, and this time it's next to the desk and its drawers. Anytime you see a participle phrase like this, or a modifier, okay, participle phrase is a type of modifier, it has to be next to what it's modifying. Last question. To make the passage most logical, paragraph 2 should be placed. So let's go back to paragraph 2. And if we go back to it, it begins with here viewing the exhibit, right? If we go to paragraph 1 right before this, it ends with, right, the favorite exhibit, which is the Thorn miniature room, right? So it might make sense that it connects with 1 and 2, right? But if we look at number 3, it also talks about this exhibit. And what number 3 says is it talks in a very general tone about what this exhibit is, right? It showcases 68 miniature rooms, okay? Whereas this one, it talks about one replica of a salon right, from King Louis the 15th. It also talks about here much more specific details, right? Here, this has specific details on one room, whereas here talks about many different rooms, right? Each room represents European, American, or Asian interior designs, right? Here, this is much more general, okay? And as we said before, right, if there's something specific, it always goes after the general, right? More specific example comes after the general description. So here the answer choice is B. It has to come after 3. I hope this helped.